Hi, I'm Paul Wong. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew on the Keith Andrew Network. He's doing a great job, and I hope you'll watch his show.
Anthony Quinn. I was just on Keith Andrew's show on his network, and I believe he's doing great work. I believe he's has things to say. He's concerned, and he's trying to get some people to talk about it. We had some laughs, and I would come back on anytime. My name is Anthony Quinn.
My name is Keith Andrew, and welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This episode 800. That's right, we finally made it to 800. Today we have Paul Wong on the show. He's a professional upcoming actor. Also on the show we have a professional upcoming comedian, Anthony Quinn. That's right, Paul Wong, Anthony Quinn, two great people right here on the Keith Andrew Network. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. Following is brought to you by H.B. Gibson, home of the X Zone. BY Comics and all that great things. Make sure to check out H.B. Gibson, home of the X Zone. Also, if you're into fitness, make sure to definitely check out Life of a Fighter. Eat healthy, drink healthy. If you do that, you're definitely a Life of a Fighter. Definitely check that out. Thank you for watching the Keith Andrew Network. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. And as always, catch you later. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and the type of work that you do.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from the Cleveland, Ohio area. I moved to California to go to school, and initially undergrad at UC Davis. And then I came down to go to LA to go to UCLA. I was actually in the medical school, and I graduated from there, and I had a 30-year career as an internal medicine physician. But I've always loved musical theater, actually music of all types. I played piano and I sang when I was little. And so in college, I did a couple shows. Actually, I did a couple shows in medical school. After I started practice, I found the East West Players, which is the Asian American theater group in Los Angeles, and I did a number of shows with them. So it seems like I always kind of came back to show business one way or the other. So about 5 years ago, I actually retired after a 30-year career in medicine to have more opportunities to do other things, figuring that you only get one life, and so know what it coulda, shouldas. And so I went to an open call for a theater agent, my intention being to get somebody to represent me to be able to have access to some of the bigger shows, either in town or possibly even New York. And so I went in, and it was like a standard musical theater audition, 2 16-bar cuts, and then there was a dance call, and then they contacted me and said, we'd like you to come in and so we can talk to you about signing you. When I went in, they said, well, we'd like to sign you for theater, but as it turns out, we don't have anybody of your type in our agency at all. So how would you feel about being represented for film, TV, and commercials too? Even though I had no reel, I had no, on-screen experience, I figured, sometimes you don't know where the door is open. I mean, you can knock on a door and it could be, then this door over here opens up and you never know. So I said, okay, sure, I'll do that. So I started taking, some classes so I, know what I'm doing. Luckily, a lot of my theater experience was in small theater. So actually the transition from theater to screen was not as big as it would have been if I was used to big theaters. I actually booked my third audition for a network, drama. So actually everything worked out okay. So, now I'm pursuing everything that is available.
No, absolutely.
That's kind of it in a nutshell.
I take my hat off to you. But you mentioned one thing that you said, I'm trying to clarify it without sounding like an asshole. You say when you join the organization, we haven't worked with people like you. So what does it mean, like in detail? So like for an example, I was always told like that before when I worked in retail, we never worked with people with disabilities. Does he mean like you never worked with Asian actors before, or was it?
I think they meant that they didn't have an aging middle-aged actor, an aging Asian actor. It's ATB, which is a small boutique agency here in Los Angeles, and they've been in existence maybe 10, 11 years or so. And so I think, they had younger people, but, most people my age who are in acting have had their agents for 20 or 30 years. And, because, relatively speaking, there aren't as many of us as there are maybe, Caucasian actors, for example. And so they just didn't have anybody Asian in my age group. And so it was kind of fortuitous for me, but so it's worked out.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I'm going to ask some hard-hitting questions, but I didn't mean to impose. But the next question I want to ask is, have you ever been stereotyped for a role? For me, people are like, well, you wear glasses, you can be the scientist, or you can be the best friend. When you meet someone, they already have their minds completely made up. When you go into a room, what goes through your mind? Say, I want to be the main star. I want to be a supporting actor. Do you get your options, or do they just look at you right away and say, no, you're gotta do this?
I think that typing people into particular boxes is part of the business. That's just kind of goes with the territory. Because if you're casting a role, if you have somebody who, fits your idea of what that role should look like or act like or whatever, then, a lot of it has to do with just, whoever's making the decision, what it is in their mind they're looking for. So, and sometimes, it can be obvious, but sometimes it's not obvious. And so you never really know what somebody's looking for. And sometimes they don't even know either. So, they think they know, but then something happens during the audition process where they say, oh, and didn't think of it going that direction, and they can change their mind. So, the thing is to show up to everything, and you never know what can happen.
No, I agree. My biggest thing is, one of my pet peeves is when you walk into the room, that person already has their mind made up. I walked in for an interview. I won't say the name of the company. I can tell you off air. But I walked in, she looked right at me, and I sized her up when I walked in. She was sitting there with, with a hat, chewing gum. I'm like, all right, I know the type of person this is going to be. And you know what? Right back at me, she looked at me, not even 10 seconds. She's like, no. It's like, you don't want to hear my experience? Well, okay, I guess I hear your experience. It's like, well, you got to have that attitude. It's kind of like, what's the point? But, it's the biggest thing is when someone has the impression of you, the biggest hurdle is say, you know what? Don't judge a book by its cover. It's always good to think outside the box and give that person an opportunity, because that person can prove you wrong.
Absolutely. Ideally, that's what would happen. But, it's, like I said, it's part of the business. And, it's not just the business, it's human nature too. I mean, people have their ideas of, what other people are like, and based on their experiences or whatever. And so we all have to fight that, that tendency to kind of just let your previous experience dictate what, how you proceed in the future.
I agree with you 100%. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back to the show, I'm going to ask you some more hard-hitting questions and pass it over to you when we come back. The whole point of the KeithAndrewNetwork is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. Never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. Just prove to them you still amount to something. But that being said, With remaining time, you can say anything you want, talk about anything you want. It's PG-13. But the one thing I want to say is the following. It's brought to you by H.B. Gibson of the X Zone. If you like comic books and all that media stuff, make sure to check out H.B. Gibson. Also, if you're into fitness, eating healthy, check out Wife of a Fighter. Now, with that being said, we're going to be joined by our other guests, if it works out. If not, we can do an interview down the road. But first question I want to ask you, Paul, is social media. Can social media make you or break you with everything that you accomplish in your life? Do you give thanks to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Have these platforms gave you opportunities for your career?
Yes, it has. I mean, I use Facebook. I use social media primarily just to share my life in a positive way. But actually, I'm scheduled to film my first feature film later this year. And assuming that it happens, I will have booked it off of Facebook. So the way this happened was, oftentimes I'll get requests from people to be their friends that I don't really know. They're like friends of friends or friends of friends of friends or whatever. And yes, exactly. And so originally, I used to be a lot stricter about vetting, like only if I, talk to somebody who I really knew, I said, who is this person and whatever. And after a while, there were like so many people, I started to think, okay, well, acting is so much about networking. So I would kind of scroll through their stuff. And as long as it didn't sound like they were like totally off the wall or whatever, I said, go ahead and accept them. So one person requested my friendship, like it was like a November or something like that, and liked a few of my things, but we didn't really have a lot of interaction. About 6 months later, I get a message from him, a message on Facebook saying, can you give me a call? I have a movie role I'd like to offer you. And at first I thought, that seems very atypical, right? And so I didn't call back. I kind of messaged back. I said, tell me more. And it turns out that he was a screenwriter and had written a role that he thought that I would be good for based on things because he had seen my posts about things I'd been in and, things like that. And so I said, okay. He said, well, let me send you the script and see what you think. And it's the film is entitled Of Myth and Legend, and it's a story of Billy the Kid. It's like an old Western. And the role that he had in mind for me was the Chinese laundryman in town. Mm-hmm. Now, it turns out if you go to Wikipedia and look up Billy the Kid, it lists one of his first two crimes as robbing a Chinese laundry. Mm. So that's apparently who I'm going to be. And then apparently some years later, and this is when he's a teenager, some years later when he comes back to town as an adult, my character is the one that recognizes that, oh, that's the guy who robbed me. And so on. Anyway, we were supposed to film it a year ago, last spring. But of course, coronavirus stopped all that. So now it's set to film sometime during the autumn of this year. So hopefully it will happen. And assuming it does happen, I will have booked my first film off of Facebook.
Absolutely.
So it goes to show you never know where the networking is going to come from.
No, absolutely. You have to mind, for me, how I get my guests is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But most recently, I've been focusing on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Those are my top three that I go to. But Anthony, you're actually joining us. And so the first question I want to ask you is tell our audience a little bit about yourself, and has social media helped you with your acting career? Not your acting career, your stand-up career.
I'm an actor too, man. Don't pigeonhole me. I'm a stand-up comic out of New York. I have two podcasts. One's called Food Addict and one's called Quinspiracy. Quinspiracy is a lighthearted conspiracy thing, but I'm more of a debunker than anything. We can get into that if you'd like. But I want to speak to what this young man was saying. You're welcome.
Who are you talking about?
You, young man, you. You were saying networking. I do a lot of networking. I'm out almost every night doing comedy. And what I found is, networking's good, but if you don't have the talent to back it up when you're there, then that's a problem. I think a lot of people like buddy up with people and they're like, we're going to conquer the world. But when you're on stage, when you're in that audition, you're there by yourself. So, you better make sure that you have the talent to follow through with all this networking.
Absolutely.
So, honestly, I think that's what it is. You just have to focus on yourself and your craft and just get better at what you do. What was another question you asked?
Actually about
how social media.
Yeah.
Social media helps me. I promote my podcast. I've done all my podcast has been all organic advertising. I haven't paid for advertising. It's very low production value. It's more like a radio show. I'm from the 90s when radio was huge. And that's what I like to do because I know I'm beautiful. But if people just hear me and it leads more to their imagination. And video is something you can add so easily. So I'm really more concerned with the content, and I'm very happy with that. I've had a lot of very talented people that are actually trying to be stand-up comedians. And right now, coming out of what we're coming out of, we need laughter, baby. We need Anthony Quinn. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Paul, do you have any questions you want to ask Anthony?
No, I think everything he said is correct. I mean, networking is important, but it's also important that you have the goods, and that means training and studying and identifying where you can improve, and of course, I think the whole thing is a process. There's as I think life is a process, and that you always have the opportunity to get better and to change things to make your life the way you want to make it. If there's something that you're not liking as much, then figure out a way to do something different.
Now, go
ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, for our fans out there, how can they follow you guys on social media? Passing it over to you.
Okay. Well, actually, I just changed my name there. PaulWongActor.com is my actor website. So you can go there, and then actually all my other social media links are linked to that. So if you go to this, you can see my resumes, you can see some video and audio clips of my work. You can see, press, you can see all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of like a one-stop shopping.
Fill that cart, baby. Fill it. Right. Fill it up.
It's funny. There's actually something called Dot. It's like a business card where you just tell someone, can I see your phone? And you tap it to the back of your phone, and it automatically gets all your information, not personal information, thank God for that, but all your social media and following. It's pretty interesting, but I like the old-fashioned business cards personally.
Yeah. What I was going to say, you asked me before about social media. The thing about social media that can be very confusing when you're trying to break into entertainment is that you could have a good social media day, right? But the next day you want to have a better social media day. And you see other people that are posting stuff and you think they're getting further than you, and you have these like resentments and stuff, and everybody goes through this. But you just have to, I don't know, social media can be a really double-edged sword, but being an entertainer, you really have to be on it. I think you just have to try to stay positive and be around positive people. I hate blocking people, but sometimes you just have to. You just have to. You can't have the negativity seep in.
No, you're absolutely right. Earlier today, actually, I saw this stupid video on TikTok where this African-American guy was beating up this other person for absolutely no reason. And he had a train full of 15 other people, all sitting there with their hands in their pants, with their stupid phones in their hands. And they're like, you know what? We're all set and help the person. Instead of saying, oh, well, he's big and scary. I don't know what to do. And it's like, be a man or a woman. And it's kind of stand up for people who need help. if you can't defend yourself, it's like, for an example, if you saw someone with special needs being beat up, I bet you guys would jump at the chance, say knock it off, or it'd give you an excuse to punch somebody upside their head for acting stupid. But it's kind of like, it's why do you want to stand there and videotape where you can actually be out and being useful and you can actually help someone in need? And that's why you go to social media, because social media, absolutely. So where I met you guys, how we got connected for her interview. But you see so much garbage, the Republicans and Democrats and, dumpster fire Trump. And then you see all this garbage, and it's kind of like, that's where the double edge is. It's like, yes, you can get work and you get positivity, but if you kind of just stare down the rabbit hole, you're going to be distracted by all this BS.
Well, social media is just a tool, and tools can be used for good or for not good. And, one of the things I enjoy about it the most, actually, is keeping tabs with friends and acquaintances who I might not necessarily, pick up the phone and call for 10 minutes or whatever. But if something good's happening in their life and, and they let us know about it, I like to be able to, to like it or say congratulations, or, it's, because I like to, hear that good things are happening to people I like. And so, I try to have the attitude that if good things are happening to my friends, I'm all for that. And I'm, it doesn't mean that if good things happen to them, doesn't mean that they've taken away good things from me. It's that,
Absolutely.
And it just helps me, feel more positive in general.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I even stayed on Facebook for a long time, because I have pictures of my kids and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, like you were saying before, with people not helping other people with special needs, and people just don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work to say the right thing on Facebook. If you're upset about something, it's not about blurting it out and pointing and clicking and doing something silly. Do something, express yourself, write a screenplay about it, write a 30-second commercial about it. With TikTok, with all these platforms, with all kinds of ways, man, there is a way you can do it. And a lot of times, I don't even think it's people being malicious. They're just sick. They're just depressed, and I would be too if I was them.
No, I agree. It was quarantine. Unfortunately, it's a new variant that's coming up, and I'm getting my shot, and sound like a dog, but I'm gonna get my shot in 2 weeks. But it doesn't mean you can go back to normal. It's gotta be, yes, you have to wear your mask, you have to get vaccinated, social distance, wash your hands, unless you're an animal, you wash your hands, and you just have to be, respectful. And if people are like, I got turned down for a couple interviews because I said, hey, what are you doing this week? Yo, man, I'm at spring break. It's like, you understand there's a pandemic going on, and 500, I'm not good with numbers, but close to 500,000 people died. Yo, man, I understand that, but I want to be at the beach. And it's kind of like, this is why the shit is going to hit the fan, and people are going to get sick, and it's going to get a lot worse, unfortunately, before it gets better, because you have stupid, ignorant people that don't care. And I want this quarantine and people get their shots. I want there to be a sense of normal again. But if people are going to be like the me mentality, what about me? How's this going to affect me? Then unfortunately, we're going to have another 2-3 years of this quarantine.
Unfortunately, we can only control what we do, and what we can't control what other people do. I'm happy though that the vaccination progress seems to be faster than it was originally anticipated earlier in the year. So at least that'll help to, get us closer faster.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much started opening up things a little bit. I'm in New York. And everybody's getting vaccinated. I hear of less cases. I do not monitor the numbers, but the cases I hear of, I see a lot of people all the time. And I do wear a mask everywhere I go until I go on stage. And then there's what we call the mic condom. Calm down, guys. Okay. It's a little sponge thing you put on the condom. Let's not get crazy here. But, so I try to, we try to do all we can, and that's really all you can do.
Right, absolutely.
Is just, if you think it's a bad idea, then don't do it. And if everybody's telling you it's a bad idea, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. It's accountability, dude. You have to be accountable for your actions. Well, and, I don't know. Sounds like common sense, right? People think I'm smart, dude. This isn't smart stuff. This is not smart stuff.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to go overtime. But I don't want to ask you one thing as from one New Yorker to another. Do you think, first off, I think I'm not a fan, and I'm not debating him or protecting him. I think Cuomo's being set up, number one. I think Trump is behind that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's stupid. But it's kind of like, if you read it and you watch it, it's kind of like, if it was really important, where were you 5-7 years ago? But I'm not for reopening everything. It's kind of like you're giving people, and this is the most important thing, you're giving people missed signals. You're telling people, wear a mask, social distance, but yet it's okay to go back to school and go back to have arenas filled again to 20%. So it's kind of, which one is it? Is it we have to be smart, or is it you don't care? But it is what it is. But the last thing I want to ask you guys.
This is the United States of it is what it is now. That's like everybody's favorite expression. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Now, I have a couple questions for you guys off the air. But wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you guys on the show. It was a real honor. I know you came on halfway towards the show, but we can definitely do a part 2. And Paul, if you want to join us again, we can definitely do a part 2. For our listeners out there, make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. And thank you for helping us reach 800 episodes. It's going to take 1.5 years to reach 900. But this is a start of something great.
Can I plug my Instagram? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. You can plug your Instagram.
The.Anthony Quinn, and Facebook, Anthony Quinn, the good-looking guy. And Food Addict and Quinspiracy. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Don't worry. Your Instagrams will be on the bottom of the screen. And if you have any links you want me to share, any pictures, send it over. I'd be more than happy to help. Wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege. I just want to say thank you for your time.